Gabriel, who, through no fault of his own, commits one of my cardinal sins of quarterbacking, which is he's tiny. And so, I mean, he's tiny.
And who will be the first quarterback game?
Shedeur. Yeah.
The Cleveland Browns didn't plan on this, but now they might not have a choice. In the middle of a chaotic quarterback carousel, one name is starting to rise out of the background. And it's not who anyone expected. Shedeur Sanders, once seen as a long-shot backup with a famous last name, is now quietly climbing the depth chart and possibly changing the future of the Browns' QB room altogether. This wasn't supposed to happen. The plan was clear. Dillon Gabriel would back up Joe Flacco. Bailey Zappe was supposed to be emergency depth. And Sanders? Just a developmental project, barely in the conversation. But everything changed. A surprising preseason setback shook the confidence in Gabriel. A strategic and very curious signing of Bailey Zappe added fuel to the speculation. And behind the scenes, Sanders kept showing up, putting in work, and winning over the coaching staff.
Is Dillon Gabriel going to be like second quarter he's out there because Flacco just needs a minute in the blue tent?
Yeah, that feels likely.
And if it's Shedeur Sanders and he starts balling,
then what?
Everything changes in a
whole
bat of an
season.
eye.
Now, whispers inside the Browns facility suggest something big is coming. Dillon Gabriel's name is suddenly linked with trade rumors. Influential analysts like Stephen A. Smith and Rich Eisen are putting their bets on Sanders. And Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski? He just made a public statement that might have tipped the team's hand and shocked a lot of fans. What looked like a stable quarterback hierarchy is now anything but. And at the center of everything, a 22-year-old rookie with NFL blood, a growing fan base, and something to prove. Could a guy the league barely took seriously in June become the Browns' new QB1 before the season ends? It wasn't supposed to be a competition. Dillon Gabriel arrived with momentum, steady college credentials, poise in the pocket, and early reps that put him firmly in the QB2 role behind Joe Flacco. Shedeur Sanders? Just a headline grabber, right? A flashy name with college hype, but no real shot of cracking the depth chart.
Going in there, he's working hard, he's trying to improve every day. He's saying all the right things, trying to elevate his level of play. And remember, up until this past weekend, we did think there was a legitimate argument that he should have been higher on the depth chart than Dillon Gabriel because he performed better against Carolina than Dillon Gabriel had performed in the preseason game against the Eagles. It's just that obviously he nosedived over this last week, and so the tenor of the conversation changed. He really hasn't done it. I mean, he hasn't gotten in any trouble. I mean, he hasn't been saying the wrong things. He hasn't been a less than a model citizen focused on, being the best that he can be. He hasn't done anything. So I think that when we look at it, he's going in there, he's working hard, he's trying to improve every day.
But then things got interesting. Throughout training camp, insiders started noticing small things. Shedeur was showing up early, staying late, and outworking nearly everyone in the quarterback room. Coaches took note. More importantly, so did the veterans. Whispers started spreading. Maybe Sanders wasn't the developmental third stringer they thought he was. Then came the preseason games. Gabriel looked shaky against the Eagles. Sanders came out against Carolina and put on a better show. More confidence, better decision-making, and that calm, controlled energy you usually don't see from rookies thrown into high-pressure snaps. Suddenly, the gap didn't look so wide. In fact, for a moment, it looked like Sanders had the edge. But momentum is fragile, and one game can change everything. What happened next would turn this Cinderella climb into a full-on quarterback controversy. Just when it seemed like Sanders was turning heads and gaining ground, everything slipped.
I like the fact that they have him there. I think he'll be good in practice. He'll be good for some of those younger guys in helping them to prepare for a game and whatnot. And he's just also a really good guy.
During a crucial preseason matchup, Sanders had his worst outing yet. Missed reads, stalled drives, and a rhythm that just wasn't there. For a guy riding a wave of quiet momentum, it was a harsh crash. Analysts called it a nosedive, and some immediately took him out of the QB2 conversation. Dillon Gabriel, on the other hand, didn't do much to win ground, but he didn't lose any either. And sometimes in the NFL, not losing is enough to stay in the race. For a moment, it looked like Sanders' rise was nothing more than a preseason flare-up, excitement over potential instead of real results. But what most people didn't see was what happened after the game. Sanders didn't flinch. No emotional outbursts. No media drama. Instead, he got back to work, quietly, consistently, and with something to prove. That effort didn't go unnoticed.
He really hasn't done it. I mean, he hasn't gotten in any trouble. I mean, he hasn't been saying the wrong things. He hasn't been a less than a model citizen focused on, being the best that he can be. He hasn't done anything. So I think that when we look at it, he's going in there, he's working hard, he's trying to improve every day.
Kevin Stefanski, the Browns head coach, didn't criticize Shedeur. In fact, he doubled down on his support. He praised Sanders' work ethic, discipline, and unwavering commitment, something rare for a rookie dealing with scrutiny. It wasn't just coach speak. It was also a signal. This coaching staff wasn't ready to give up on Sanders, not even close. Because if this was just a one-game slump and not a pattern, then Sanders was still in play, very much in play. And the Browns were about to make a move that confirmed just how serious things were becoming. When the Browns signed Bailey Zappe, fans had questions, but insiders had theories. Zappe wasn't brought in to compete for a starting job. That much was clear. He isn't a franchise-changing quarterback. He's not someone you invest in for the future. He's experience, wrapped in safe, short-term insurance. So why bring him in now? The answer might not be about who Zappe is, but who he's here to protect.
He's going in there, he's working hard, he's trying to improve every day. He's saying all the right things, trying to elevate his level of play. And remember, up until this past weekend, we did think there was a legitimate argument that he should have been higher on the depth chart than Dillon Gabriel because he performed better against Carolina than Dillon Gabriel had performed in the preseason game against the Eagles. It's just that obviously he nosedived over this last weekend, so the tenor of the conversation changed.
Many believe the Browns weren't actually targeting a QB shakeup, but rather bracing for it. With Shedeur Sanders creeping up and Gabriel's preseason performances underwhelming, Zappe's arrival added just enough depth to make future moves possible without putting the team in jeopardy. And then it really started to make sense. Bailey Zappe's role was defined almost immediately. Support the younger quarterbacks, prep in practices, be ready in an emergency. In other words, a floater, not competition, not a threat. That's when the speculation ramped up. This move didn't feel like someone was being brought in to challenge Sanders. It felt like someone was being brought in because the Browns were preparing to move on from Gabriel. And if that were true, it would mean Sanders was now one call away from being QB2 and one wrong step from another player away from becoming something much bigger. The Browns weren't just shuffling pieces, they were making room for something. Or someone.
Concern myself with outside type of things. But I'm committed to his development, just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better. And that's what we'll stay committed to, and that's what's important to me.
Dillon Gabriel was supposed to be the safe bet, the kind of quarterback who doesn't rock the boat. But now he's the center of trade rumors that just won't go away. It started subtly. After the Browns brought in Bailey Zappe, questions began buzzing. Why would they add another body to the QB room if they were comfortable with Gabriel and Sanders behind Flacco? Then came the reports. NFL insiders started linking Gabriel to multiple teams, especially in the wake of Kenny Pickett's surprising trade. Some of these franchises weren't just interested in depth. They were looking for a young QB with upside, and Gabriel suddenly fit the mold. But why would the Browns let him go? It all boils down to competition and size. Despite showing flashes of talent, Dillon Gabriel's physical limitations are becoming a hot topic. He's undersized. And in a league where pocket vision and durability are everything, that matters.
This is one of the natural and foreseeable byproducts of drafting him. He comes to town with a built-in fan base. The mouth breathers, as you call them, are in tow. Not that I called them that, but you called them that.
Yeah,
They're there.
Analysts have pointed out that no matter how clean his mechanics may be, you can't teach height or presence. Mike Tannenbaum praised Gabriel's skill, but admitted his stature could be a deal breaker. Nick Wright went further, calling Gabriel's frame a cardinal sin for an NFL quarterback. That opened up a bigger conversation. If Gabriel had peaked already and Sanders was still climbing, which direction should the Browns go? Especially with growing whispers that trading Gabriel could bring assets and give Sanders more breathing room to rise. In an unexpected twist, the Browns may be preparing to move on from their presumed QB2, not because he failed, but because someone else is rising way faster than expected. And once the rumors turned into serious talks, the future of the entire quarterback room started to shift. As the quarterback controversy in Cleveland heats up, the media world is splitting fast, and everyone's got a take. Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back. According to him, Shedeur Sanders isn't just surviving the competition, he's winning it. Smith pointed to Sanders' mindset, work ethic, and leadership as proof that the rookie is already carving out a serious role in the Browns' locker room. Even after his shaky preseason snap, Smith called it what it was, a temporary setback, not a meltdown. And he's not alone. Rich Eisen also weighed in, saying, "It's only a matter of time before Sanders vaults into the QB2 spot, maybe even QB1 if the stars align." He didn't hedge. Eisen believes that Sanders has the drive and raw tools to be more than just a backup in the league. Then there's the other side, where the narrative shifts to defending Dillon Gabriel. Mike Tannenbaum praised his poise during practice and film sessions. But even Tannenbaum couldn't ignore the elephant in the room, Gabriel's height. He admitted it's a clear liability as defenses get faster and pocket windows shrink. Nick Wright made it even more blunt. "He's tiny," Wright said, "and in the NFL, that's not something you can coach your way out of." The comparison became impossible to ignore. Sanders brings size, arm strength, and media attention. Gabriel brings stability, but physical limits. It's no longer just about mechanics or preseason stats. It's about upside, pressure, and who the organization sees as their future. And as the voices grow louder, one thing's becoming clear. This isn't just a backup battle. It's a potential shift in the Browns' long-term quarterback strategy. For weeks, head coach Kevin Stefanski played it safe. His comments about Shedeur Sanders were generic at best, focused on development, team process, and taking things day by day. It sounded like your typical coach speak, uncommitted, polite, and non-threatening. But then, everything changed. After rumors started to swirl about Dillon Gabriel being on the trade block, Stefanski stepped in front of the media and flipped the narrative completely. This time, the tone was different. Confident, decisive. He didn't just defend Sanders. He endorsed him. He called Shedeur a priority, praised his growth, and emphasized that the team was committed to developing him just as much as their other rookies. Timing matters. And this statement didn't come after a strong performance. It came after adversity. Sanders had just had his worst showing yet. But instead of being benched or overlooked, Stefanski doubled down. That shift wasn't accidental. It was strategic. Just weeks earlier, Stefanski had pushed back on concerns about Sanders, even brushing off hype surrounding his depth chart movement. But following the trade of Kenny Pickett, and in the shadow of Bailey Zappe's unexpected arrival, something clicked. The team wasn't just protecting Sanders anymore. They were actively preparing him. If that's true, then the QB2 role might already be his. And a carefully managed rookie year could be setting the stage for something even bigger down the road. Because this wasn't just support, it was positioning. A quiet signal from the top of the org chart that Sanders is not just part of the team, but part of the plan. There's one thing that sets Shedeur Sanders apart from the rest of the quarterback room, and it has nothing to do with his arm strength, footwork, or playbook knowledge. It's his name. Whether people want to admit it or not, Shedeur isn't just another rookie quarterback. He's a brand. The son of Hall of Famer Deion Sanders and the face of a fast-growing fan movement. From Colorado to Cleveland, his following is loud, loyal, and highly emotional. And right now, that fan base is watching everything the Browns do very closely. NFL analyst Mike Florio said it plainly. The Browns might not be able to move Sanders even if they wanted to. Not without serious backlash. Because trading Sanders wouldn't just spark headlines, it would cause a war across social media, ESPN panels, and most importantly, Browns fans who are desperate for something fresh and exciting to believe in. In the age of NFL marketing, you don't just trade away a guy with this much energy behind him unless the upside absolutely demands it. That's why Dillon Gabriel is the more likely candidate on the trade block. He doesn't bring controversy. There's no storm of pushback, no built-in fandom threatening to melt down the internet. For the Browns, the choice becomes simple. Keep the quarterback with the buzz or risk alienating your base by letting him go too soon. And this isn't just perception, it's strategy. Teams don't just invest in players, they invest in storylines. And right now, Shedeur Sanders is the story. He might not be ready for QB1 just yet, but he might already be too valuable to risk losing. If Dillon Gabriel gets traded, and at this point the writing's on the wall, then Shedeur Sanders moves up the ladder, officially. That would put him one injury, one bad game, or one bold coaching decision away from becoming the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Rich Eisen said it best. If Gabriel goes, Sanders steps in as QB2, and after that, it's only a matter of time, and that might not be an exaggeration. Joe Flacco isn't the long-term answer. He's a veteran stopgap whose clock is ticking. His experience is vital, yes, but his durability isn't what it used to be, and the Browns know it. That's why they're moving so carefully with who comes next. And right now, the momentum is clearly swinging in Sanders' favor. He's younger, bigger, more marketable, and showing flashes of the maturity teams beg rookies to develop. The preseason stumble didn't derail anything. In fact, it may have strengthened his case because he bounced back the right way. No distractions, no drama, just work. Insiders are already saying the Browns' quarterback depth chart could look very different by mid-season. And if Sanders continues to elevate, that QB1 jersey might not be out of reach, not months from now, but weeks. Because this isn't just a development year anymore. It's a transition. And the Browns are already crossing the bridge. The Cleveland Browns haven't made a grand announcement. There's been no flashy news drop, no press conference declaring a new era. But if you read between the lines, the signs are everywhere. They didn't bring in Bailey Zappe to start. They didn't hype Dillon Gabriel's potential trade for nothing. And they certainly didn't double down on Shedeur Sanders just to stash him indefinitely at the bottom of the depth chart. This is a team making quiet moves with loud consequences. Kevin Stefanski, once hesitant to say too much about Sanders, is now publicly committed to his development. Analysts across ESPN and Fox are flipping their takes in real time. And the fans? They're locked in, ready for what's next. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a backup plan anymore. He's a calculated investment. A quarterback they can't trade, won't ignore, and probably can't afford to keep off the field for long. And if Gabriel gets moved, we might look back at this moment as the true beginning of Sanders' NFL takeover. So now, the question's on you. Is Shedeur Sanders ready to run the show? Would trading Dillon Gabriel lock him into QB2 or leapfrog him into QB1? And how far can the Browns really go with Sanders leading the charge? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this story isn't just about depth charts. It's about momentum. And right now, no one in Cleveland has more of it than Shedeur Sanders.